With that in mind, Brian, let's get into your way too early top 25. Spend about 2 minutes or so on each of these little slides here, 5 at a time. Number 25, you've got West Virginia. Number 24, Texas Tech, followed up by Mississippi State, Louisville, and then number 21, Loyola Chicago. They're not going anywhere quite yet.
Yeah, no, they're not just a one-year wonder. They do lose some key players, Dante Ingram and Ben Richardson, and their sixth man, Andre Jackson. They're all going to be gone, but half of that core group is still back. Clayton Custer, who was on our all-tournament second team, is still there. Their big man, Cameron Krutwig, is still there. Marcus Towns, who played really well for them down the stretch in the tournament, they're later in their run, is back. They're going to be really good. They have the best recruiting class in Missouri Valley coming in as well, ranks in the top 80 in the country, I believe, which for a mid-major team is very, very good. They're going to be a team that kind of drops in and out of the polls all season long, but they're going to pop up again in your bracket next year with a very good record, and will probably be at the bottom end of the polls, I would think, all season long because of that experience that they have coming back.
Louisville checks in there at number 22. Are you kind of putting some stock in the addition of Chris Mack?
Yeah, Louisville had a ton of talent this year before all the FBI investigation stuff broke and another Rick Pitino scandal in firing. They were a top 5, top 10 team in the preseason. Obviously, they had some off-court distractions that really, I think, hampered them this year and hung over them and kept them from being anything close to resembling their full potential. But only 2 guys are leaving from that team. Chris Mack seems to be keeping the rest of that team in place, avoiding any of the transfers out. And he's a coach who we've seen from his time at Xavier get the most out of his talent, and Louisville has a ton of talent. So 20, 21, 22 could be a little bit low here for them if that talent all plays to its capabilities, but we'll just have to see.
Let's get into the top 20 then. At number 20 is UCLA, Kansas State there at 19, Maryland at 18, LSU at 17, and Virginia Tech at number 16, Brian.
Yeah, this group's going to be a lot of fun. Kansas State and Virginia Tech return pretty much everybody. Kansas State obviously had everybody from that run they had to the Elite Eight. They're going to get Dean Wade back as well, who was hurt during that tournament run, really played very sparingly. So they'll be a very dangerous team in the Big 12. I really think if anybody in the Big 12 next year is going to end Kansas' streak, it's going to be the Wildcats. Virginia Tech also returned 7 of their top 8 scorers from last year's team that made the NCAA tournament, lost in the final seconds to Alabama in the first round. Maryland's another team that has everybody back. Kind of surprising that Justin Jackson went to the NBA draft. He's going to be a second-round pick at best, but they also get everybody back as well as a very good recruiting class. LSU in this group's the team to watch for me. A couple years ago, they had a lot of hype because of some incoming recruits, namely Ben Simmons. Things didn't turn out that well, which is why they have a new coach now, Will Wade, who is one of the best young coaches in the country, I think. He's really an up-and-comer. Brings in a top 5 recruiting class, have one of the best freshmen in the country this past year who nobody really heard of because LSU wasn't very good, in Tremont Waters, who is Trae Young light, so to speak, averaged 16 points and 6 assists per game last year. They're going to be a team that's really, really, really good next year.
They have, I think, maybe one of your surprise picks based only on what they did last year. 18 and 15, just 8 and 10 in conference play. But you're thinking LSU kind of takes that next step forward as they move forward with their new coach.
Yeah, that incoming freshman class will be Will Wade's second year. Waters will have some experience as a sophomore. He'll have some big guys coming in, including 2 5-stars. Naz Reid is a very versatile big man. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the SEC, and it's just a matchup nightmare for other teams. Because they're so young, some of this might be overhyped a little bit, and they may be a team like Alabama was this year that kind of struggles with expectations because LSU, again, is on a program that's used to having those expectations, but they have the talent to be a top 20 team.
Into the top 15 then we go. Florida State is at number 15, followed up by Florida, Michigan State. Michigan is there at number 12, and Oregon at number 11. Start with Michigan, Brian. What do you think their prospects look like next year? Could they make another miracle run as they so often like to do around this time of the year?
This could be low for Michigan, admittedly. Charles Matthews is going to be back. Xavier Simpson is going to be back. Jordan Poole is going to be back and have a bigger role. Isaiah Livers is going to be back, and he's also going to have a bigger role. So that's a good returning core for Michigan. But Abdur Rahkman is going to be gone. Duncan Robinson is going to be gone. Mo Wagner in all likelihood, is going to be gone. And I just think that Abdur-Rahman and Wagner are such a big part of what Michigan has to do and what they want to do this year. It's going to drop them a little bit in the standings, and is why they're outside my top 10 for next year.
Maybe a bit of a bounce back here from Oregon after they missed the tournament this season?
Yeah, they got 3 of their top 5 players back, assuming Troy Brown doesn't enter the NBA draft, which seemed like he was going to early on in the season, was projected to be a top 20 pick. Now not so much. Seems like he'll be back, a very versatile 6'7", guard forward, point forward kind of player. They also welcome in the nation's number 2 recruiting class, Bol, Manute Bol's son, the number 4 overall recruit in the country. The top guy who's not going to Duke is going to be at Oregon, and give them a big man on the inside along with another 5-star as well and a couple of 4-stars in there. So Oregon going into next season is going to have the expectations of being the best team in the Pac-12.
All right, let's get into the top 10 then. You've got at number 10, your now current champion, Villanova. They do lose several key pieces, though. Nevada checks in at number 9, Auburn at 8, Tennessee at 7, Gonzaga at 6. Let's work our way down, starting with number 10, Brian, Villanova. Are the losses going to help kind of knock them down a little bit in these polls?
Yeah, same kind of deal as Michigan. Of course, watching tonight, I think Dante DiVincenzo can do everything, so they should be number 1 no matter what. But Mikal Bridges is going to be a lottery pick. He's going to be gone, junior. That's going to hurt them, their defensive versatility. I'm going to assume that Jalen Brunson's going to be gone. He's projected to be a late first-round pick, potentially early second, but I think he'll end up going late in the first round. He'll probably be gone as well. He graduated in 3 years, so there's no real reason for him to stay. Phil Booth, the other starting guard, is a senior. He's gone unless he gets he could be back, but he's likely gone as well. The rest of the team, Omari Spellman's got an NBA decision to make, but I expect him to be back. There's Pascal will be back. DiVincenzo will step into a starting role next year. They have a 5-star point guard coming in Javon Quinterly. They're going to be a very good team. They're just going to look a little different than this group, and they're going to have to replace 2 of the program's centerpieces in Brunson and Bridges. Until they replace those guys, I'm not going to put them in the top 5. And because of the returners that some of these other teams have, I have Villanova at number 10 right now.
Maybe a surprise for some, Nevada checks in at number 9.
They bring everybody back from last year. A healthy Lindsey Drew at point guard, who missed the entire tournament with an Achilles injury. He'll be back, as well as everybody else that made that Sweet 16 run. They're also going to get 4 players that transferred in last year that are going to be eligible next year. Depth was a big problem for them late in the season and in the tournament when they had to make all those comebacks, especially. They really tired out their starters. So those 4 transfers are going to give them depth with everybody back. They're going to be a very, very good team.
And then 2 SEC maybe surprises as well from at least from the way they played this year, Auburn and Tennessee.
Yeah, again, both teams bring everybody back. They were surprise SEC co-champs during the season. Both teams get, barring something, again, unforeseen, everybody back. Auburn even gets their second best player back. Last year, if you remember, because of the FBI investigation, their 2 best players, or who were supposed to be their 2 best players on this year's team, in Austin Wiley and D'Angelo Purifoy, were ruled ineligible for the season because of stuff with the FBI investigation. Wiley seems like he's going to go pro. Purifoy is going to be back. So not only does Auburn get everybody back from last year's team that won the SEC, they're also going to get him back as well. They're going to be a very good team. And then again, Tennessee, everybody back as well, including SEC Player of the Year, Grant Williams, barring something unforeseen like a player going to the NBA draft who really shouldn't. Those guys will be very good again.
Then into the top 5, and it's got plenty of blue bloods, no surprise there. Kentucky, North Carolina, Virginia, Kansas, and Duke, once again, with the number 1 seed there in the Away Till Top 25 and championship or bust expectations.
You can make a legitimate argument for Kansas being the number 1 team in the country. Duke's losing a lot. Grayson Allen, Wendell Carter, Marvin Bagley, probably both Gary Trent and Trayvon Duval as well. But I love who Duke has coming in. Those top 3 guys you mentioned, R.J. Barrett, the number 1 overall guy, as good as any prospect as there has been. He's up there with Ben Simmons. He's up there with Bagley and DeAndre Ayton in terms of impact. He's a 6'7" small forward, a scorer, a pure scorer. Still can be left-hand dominant at times. He's a lefty, but led Canada to a world championship over USA in the U17 world championships, I believe, U16, U17. He is a franchise transcendent type player moving forward in the NBA. Cam Reddish, may have the highest upside of all these three guys because he's a 6'8" point forward, really, who has excellent shooting touch. And then there's Zion Williamson, who we all have seen his dunks 1,000 times, and just his brute strength and being able to play a stretch four. I really think those three guys can be a iconic kind of cultural team that we remember years down the road and have documentaries about, like we have the Fab Five. I could see this team and that group being that kind of team.